Hello, this is the branch vlog for 0.2.1.3, the one you see highlighted on the right. It didn't take that long, actually, not for the initial traits, like a proof of concept, getting the widget going, all those bits and pieces. Did it about a week quicker than I thought I would do. So I've ended up finishing September's branches with 11 days to spare. So the next one I'll be going into the intro, so the intro video and stuff. But let's talk about point 3, traits. So start with bugs. There was originally there was an old issue with the pause menu. I know, look how ridiculous that is. It does look different when you play it. This is one of the first things I made. I've rarely used the pause menu, and because of that, it just kind of got historically left in the background. So then when I actually went to use it to test it with the traits process, added functionality, it didn't work quite how it used to and how I remembered it. So I've reworked it. Originally, this loaded up the main menu widget. It didn't flag death. And then it looked at the run count, and then it reset all the the game instance variables, wiped them. But this is proper old school, talking when I was using event dispatchers and everything. So if I just show you what this thing was triggering, protagonist John, save. Is it that one? Let's just type in GI. And there we go. This is how old it is. See, I don't even have the event dispatchers anymore. They're all gone. They're all dead and buried. It now goes off a struct. So it was doing this monstrosity. It wasn't even active anyway, actually. I must have just culled it. But yeah, it was triggering that. It was doing all this sort of stuff, and it just was not working how you'd expect it when you're going to the pause menu and then you go back to main menu. In my head, going back to main menu is it's one step away from quitting the game, as you can see on quit, but I didn't want it to just close the game for you every time you do it, so I wanted to have a bit of extra granularity to it. I will showcase this at the end. Create a widget for selecting traits. Yes, so I've got two widgets actually. We have just start with a slot. So nothing fancy, very much placeholder. But we have, sorry, 1 second. Right, sorry about that. On the left, we have the button. So, when you click it, you can see when you hover over it, slightly different color tint. Same for pressed again. An image placeholder, name, description, and this is a placeholder for like a unlocked image, but right now I'm actually hiding it. You can see here. I also have, but that's the visual side of the slot. If we go into the granularity of it, the slot gets called from the main menu widget, so that's why that's there. We will mention this shortly. When the slot is created, I get the game instance and I create a variable of the game instance. You see it's the GOM game instance, which, if you're wondering what that is, that's my own game instance with all these different structs. You will also see here there's no traits here, but let's go back a step. So it creates the game instance, and when you click that button, which we saw, so this one, when you click that, it will do an equipped trait process where the traits are stored. One second. The traits are stored on the traits menu widget here. If we just crack them open on the bottom left. Nothing special. One's called healthy, one's called hearty, and it gives you an extra 25 to your current and your max. Current and your max, reason being because your you're starting a new game, you can't just add it to your max, you can't just add it to your current. Not if you want it to be like persistent sort of thing, because the moment if you add it to your current, the moment you went under that max, it would then only ever go back to the default max, not like a Halo overshield sort of thing where it gives you like overshield for a period of time. I didn't want to create that. I wanted it to be persistent. So you equip the trait, and what we do here is we make sure the game instance traits are wiped. You might be thinking, why do you want to wipe it? Well, the game instance persists through you essentially double clicking, opening, playing the game. Meanwhile, the save slots persist like save slots. But if I pause the game, I go back to main menu, for all intents and purposes, in your head mentally, like, oh, it's a new game. But the game instance doesn't see it that way. The game instance sees it as you essentially just loading up another widget and resetting your variables and going back to the first level. Everything is like a new game except from it actually not being a new game. So I clear it, and then I get the trait info of this particular slot, and I add it uniquely. So I add a new unique thing so that you can't click the button 5 times. I get 5 traits essentially. Currently, it's set up because it's got that clear and add unique. Each one of the traits hold a 0 ID, so you can only have one trait at a time. This is why I've stuck that comment there, so I don't 6 months later think, why isn't it working? Right, but that's the slot. The slot holds no information, doesn't hold this trait information by default. We need to go one step back. The menu holds the information. On construct, add entry, and for each one of these traits, so we've got 2, each one of these 2 traits, create a trait slot. So create one of these in this scroll box. Create one of these in that scroll box for each trait. So that's why. So 2 will pop up. So after I've created it, add it as a child. So we've created 2 slots, great, but we still need to add it to the scroll box. So then we get the reference to that and we add it to the scroll box. Then we just do set visible. The reason being, if I don't collapse the slot by default here, sorry, 1 second, let me click on it. You will see, where have I put it? If I put it on here, non-hit testable, it's not here, where is it? Ignore me, I think I'm mentioning something I shouldn't. I think I fixed it. Yes, it's fine now. I'm going crackers. It's not this bit, it is, oh, it's somewhere here. There we go. Trait slot widget. So it is the widget, but it's inside the menu. You see by default I've collapsed it. And then when you create each one of these slots, then so we see 2 traits, we get 2 slots, and that's fine. And then you see I make it each one of those 2 visible. If I just have it visible by default, it has this currently it has this placeholder, so this, what you're seeing here, will count as like slot 1, slot 0, and then it'll add the other 2, so you have 3, and this is just a redundancy. So that's why I hide it in this menu widget, and then I make it visible on creation. So that is the widget for selecting the traits. I can showcase it straight after this. In terms of creating traits v1, yeah, nothing special. The game instance traits is empty. You see on the right, there we go, empty. The widget holds the traits. You activate the widget by going to config on the main menu, which I will show. And yeah, you know what, let's show this bit now, and then we'll show the rest. Right, so we play it. We do, let's say we play it normal. Look on the top right, we've got 100 health, 100 over 100, stamina, 100 over 100. Right, let's come out of it. Let's do config. On the left, we see we can only pick one. So let's do hearty. We go back to main menu. It is now being fed into the game instance. We press play. We look on the top right. You see 125 over 125. Let's go into another room. Let's keep track of it. 125 over 125. So it only triggers once. There we go. Same again. So we come out of it. Let's play it. Let's do same again, but let's do healthy. Main, play. It now goes to the health and it persists through. Let's click both of them. Play. It only picks the first one. The first one. The other one, because it's adding unique, you see, because you're adding in the second one, but zero ID is not unique. Zero ID has already been taken by the first click. That's that. Let's add stamina, play it. Let's pause it. Oh, it's because I'm playing it in the window. One second. Let's get out the window. Let's play in new window. Here we go. So I've had stamina. Good. Play it. Cool. We've got stamina, top right. We then press pause. We then go to main. We play it. Stamina's gone. So the trait's gone, essentially. Let's go press pause. Let's go to main. Let's go to config. Well, technically it should be traits, but let's go to healthy, main, play. And there we go. Health is back with the trait is back. You might be thinking, Nick, why have you got it working off the bathroom this time? I've done something and I've created a bug for myself where the instant Unreal loads up and I go to play it on the instant level, the first level it's loaded up, the default level, there's like an 80% chance it's going to crash. If I load it on any other level, it doesn't have this problem. I'm looking into it. Classic Unreal. I don't think I caused too much damage. But that is essentially this bit, traits so far. If I go to this one, numerical values to this status bar, this took about 10 minutes, maybe not even 10 minutes. This is the first ever widget I made, the very first one. As you can see by it's looking ridiculous. That's a new addition. That's a new addition, but this is the first widget. Yeah, it's not got proper, what do you say, like conformity. It doesn't look like all the other widgets because it is the most V1 of a V1 you've ever seen. But originally we had these values and they went up, they went down, but that was it. It was just percentages. This is the armor one, by the way, ignore that one. We have, here we go, so the percentages. So minimum, maximum, divide it, and then do that. And I didn't show the percentage value, I just allowed it to visually change. However, in this branch I've done, it's essentially the same thing, except from instead of doing a percentage and have that function bind to the bars going left to right, so increasing, decreasing, right to left, right increasing, left decreasing. It now does that, and I've overlaid like a min-max on each one, so nothing special, all the same. If I play it, let me try and full screen it. So you see, there we go, so jump in, and then it just goes up, da 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 da. Nothing fancy. the animations are already there, where it flashes on. I think just health and stamina at the moment, maybe. Is it health and stamina? Oh no, I did them all. Caution, danger, yeah, and then yeah, increasing, decreasing, high stress. Cool. Okay, so I already did that. That is the numerical values element. Adding the trait menu to the main menu, right? So I've got a config button you just saw. Never created anything for it. So I thought, well, why don't I repurpose it for the time being? So play controller, create the widget, the menu widget, not the slot widget, create the menu widget, and then add it to the viewport. Z order 100 simply because no matter what happens, I've got nothing that even comes close to 100. It is right smack in the front. That's that one. And then because I work off structs now, in upgrading the save load logic, so we've got save to slot, auto save to slot, and load from slot. In here, this was this is like it took about 8 seconds. So yeah, nice. It's nice for it to be speedy. Right, let's get them all open. Not main menu. We want saving. We've got save slot, auto save, load. Right. Save slot's already open. Here we go. So the only difference is, you see I get traits. Let's do that. You see I get traits from the game instance and I feed it into the save game object to then go into a save slot. So that's save, autosave, identical, load game. We load from the save game object from the slot and we save it into the game instance. So the other way around. So we're feeding from save to game instance for load, game instance to save for save. And that's that bit. So I think I've already kind of showcased it. But yeah, I'd say there's the trait stuff. Like I've got a really overcomplicated, not overcomplicated, but a really complicated quest widget that then uses other widgets, slot widgets inside it, inventory widgets that uses inventory slot widgets, equipment widgets that use equipment slot widgets. But all that originally came from me doing video tutorials last year, and then I've just iterated it and I've kind of made it my own. The traits widget and the slot widget, and how that combines and how that relates to each other, that is 100% my own doing. So it's very much a version 1 of me being able to do it from scratch for these widgets in widgets that interact and feed pass values between each other. So yeah, it was good. In terms of next steps, so the usual thing now, I'm 11 days ahead of time. I will be looking into intro, and what we mean by intro is, I always come back to Resident Evil 1. Resident Evil 1, you press play, it does that little video sequence of them running to the mansion, but before that, like the helicopter and only like the zombie dogs come out, and then they find one of the bodies in, I think, the non-director's cut or the director's cut. And then they run to the mansion, and then the game loads, and they're already in the mansion, aren't they? They just, essentially, it's a video, and then someone's just done, at the end of video play, load game, and game just dumps them there. I'm wanting to do that sort of video, obviously not me running about or anything, but what I mean is, I'm talking, imagine that sort of purpose for the intro video, but with, I guess, a little bit like the Star Wars intros where it's got a bit of text, but mine won't be like that. Mine will probably fade in and out. So it'll be like text, picture, text, picture, text, picture, just to give a bit of background, and then music in the background of it, so it will incorporate music as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And then it will kick off a bit like Project Zomboid as well, when you press play and it does a couple of little text bits, doesn't it? And then you click any button to start, and then it loads you in the world. So yeah, Resident Evil intro, Project Zomboid intro, Star Wars intro, combine it, but with pictures instead of video. That's essentially that. I don't really go into that much detail for the next ones. I will say that will not take me a month. I think even if I try and get rid of every single book, I don't think it's going to take me a month. But we'll keep it as it is for now. If I get ahead of time, I'll bump these forward. That's going to be a monster. So fortunately, the NPCs and enemies and the player are already 140 by 140. I've just scaled it 0.5 to factor into account that almost everything else is 70 by 70. So fortunately, I don't need to touch the most vastly complex and essentially sprites elements with like tens, 20, 100 plus sprites. What I will need to do is I'll need to look at the items. So we're talking here. So not materials. So like no interact items like this one. That it's not even uniform. It's one of the first ones I made. If we look at like the dimensions, what it, I think in Photoshop it's like 95 by 70 or 80. So it's not even uniform to the 70 by 70 because it was too small. There wasn't enough space. So there's a massive inconsistency in uniformity. So there'll be things like that to do. So all these, fortunately, I've tidied them up a couple of branches ago. One of these feels like a million years ago now, but tidied it up into all these different folders. But yeah, that'll need a bit of work. So that's like the no interact, and then we have the interact no collect. So we're talking like dresses, things like that. Some of the beds. What's this one? 70 by 70. So at least it's got some uniformity there. It's much later date, much better developed concept. Yeah. Also, with the increase in twofold, I'm hoping that it will still be pixel perfect, doing a times two on almost like transpose it and you just do 200% and it'll be 140 by 140. So like here. Hopefully that'll work. I think it'll kind of lose its pixel perfectness. Like it'll still be not blurry, but the things will be too thick. Where we have a single pixel here, everything will be double. So I will probably need to redesign a lot of them, essentially trim the fat of the extra pixel density. Also, we have normals, and as you can remember, I did that normal branch, and I frickin' painted them. It doesn't look like this normally. Unreal sees normals inside out, well upside down, so you have to flip it. And even then, that's not what the normals look like. They look like proper normals in Photoshop. So Unreal just makes a freaking monstrosity of normals. Almost certain I've done it right. It does. If we do like, there we go, unlit, lit. So he's right. It looks better when the light isn't like this infinite light. It's more like a 3D world, like working on it. But yes, so that will be a lot of pixel uniformity. Will be a lot of work to do. That may well. What time I save in these 11 days I've saved, and the fact that this isn't going to take a month, those two elements of time will no doubt pour into this one, and then yeah, just bits and pieces, just upgrading bits and pieces. Hopefully get to the point where we're nearing year 3, so April 2025, which is just crazy. Once I get to there, so 3 months after all this is done, so what's that, like 8 more branches into the future past this, I'm hoping to get something in the realms of a decent demo, like an interactive demo first, and then an action demo. But to do the action demo, I can do it with the levels I've got, but I really want to start making the other levels now. I'm getting sick of seeing these these prologue levels. I want to start making something gruesome. It's proper Silent Hill when the bell rings and it all turns to like the hell equivalent. Something real grim, something kind of turn your stomach. I don't know. This is too clean and happy space for me. Something like Event Horizon, something real gruesome. But that's that. That's me. That's where I'm at. You will probably see this come out. Oh, well, the month and the year is when the branch starts. You'll probably see it first week of October. It will be a version 1, so the images will be rough, the text will be getting there, the music will be getting there. It will function. In terms of how it will function, I will get it to, not that one, main menu. You're going to press play. Before it does this, I'm going to keep, so the game is already paused by this point. I'm going to stick a video here and then have a delay. Essentially bump this that way. And then make the delay maybe a few more seconds because I'll need like a fade in, like a fade out from video, fade into the game. Thank you for your time. Making some real proper progress now. I started adding in chapters as well. I realised that if I pop in the times, it does the chapters on the little bar. I assumed you had to do the chapters manually and it was 2 separate processes, but yeah, I'll keep chapters involved as well. Thank you for your time, and I shall see you probably in about a week in a bug hunt video before the next branch. See ya.